Hello, I'm Will with NYY Eye Test Baseball. This is the channel recapping and reacting to Yankees games with the emphasis being on the eye test. Today is the 17th of September 2024. Yankees just finished playing game one of a three-game series against the Mariners at T-Mobile Park in Seattle, Washington. Yankees win this one 11-2. It was a good game for the Yankees overall. A lot of positives, a lot of runs scored, not many surrendered, so that's always very positive. 11 runs scored. Yankees were 5 of 12 with runners in scoring position as well, so that's something that is really nice to see. And a lot of runs not coming from the home run, a lot of runs being driven in, which is always a big positive for a team that likes to hit the home runs. We're seeing runs being scored not just from the home run, but also being driven in with runners in scoring position. So that's very positive. I think we'll have to start off with Luis Gil. 5 innings pitched, 1 run, 5 strikeouts, 3 walks. It was a mixed bag. And I would say for his standards, I'd say a mediocre start, definitely. On another night, the stats don't look so bad, but on another night, you could have easily surrendered 5 runs. After that kerfuffle in the first inning where Robles tried to steal home with 2 outs and a 3-0 count, the pitcher had just walked the bases loaded, and on a 3-0 count, you decide to steal home. Absolutely baffling decision by Robles. Could have potentially, really let Luis Gil off the hook there in that situation where the Mariners could have put together some offense. But besides that, his control with many of his pitches, again, he's primarily using his slider and his fastball now. He's moved a little bit away from that changeup, especially to righties. And after that period of struggle he had, he's kind of changed up his arsenal a little bit. He's introduced more sliders and fastballs to righties, and then sort of dialed back on the changeups to righties. But both of those pitches were pretty erratic, especially to start in the first few innings. He definitely got away with a few pitches. Some sliders were backed up. And some fastballs, he's unable to find the zone with some fastballs. So that's a little bit of an area of concern. However, this is an important point, and this is different from what happened when he was really, really struggling, when balls were really just hit hard off of him. The balls beside that slider to Polanco, he really did a good job of controlling hard contact. He didn't surrender much hard contact. And I think that's very telling as well. And I think that speaks to how good his stuff is. So his control wasn't great today, but his stuff is still very, very good. And that's a big, big positive. And that's a very, it's a sign you can just boil down this start to, he's missing, his mechanics were a little bit off, he was unable to find the strike zone, but the stuff is still really good. And that's quite reassuring. What would be less reassuring is if he was missing the zone and the stuff in the zone was getting hit hard. Guys were putting good swings, not necessarily being able to pick up hits, but consistently putting up good swings, timing the ball well. And we saw hitters still struggle with that today. So that's a reassuring part about his start. Again, only 4 hits. I think this is a feature with Luis. I think this is a feature with the way that some of these elite pitchers are, that you can actually walk a few guys. You can actually have a moderate walk rate to even a high walk rate, but still, because your stuff is so nasty, still be really effective. And I think that's what we're seeing right now from Gil. The stuff is nasty. The fastball plays. The slider really plays. The changeup to lefties really plays. These are plus pitches. From the arm slot that he throws at, he hides the ball well. It's tough to pick up. All positives. But again, going forward, you want to see him work on that control a little bit. Maybe it's a mechanical issue. Maybe he was missing pitches arm side or yanking them glove side, or they did a good job laying off the pitches. When you're pitching to major league hitters, you look at the overall strike rate at the end, 91 pitches, 55 strikes. It's not bad, right? It's not bad. But the difficulty is, and why there are some long at-bats, is when you can't consistently be able to sequence good pitches. That's the key. You have to be able to sequence good pitches. in order to get outs and get people to chase at the major league level. And what we saw, I think, from Heel was that at times you could get really erratic, so missing quite a few pitches or a few poor pitches in a row. Then you sprinkle in a few good pitches. Guys are able to lay off of the quality pitches because you haven't consistently attacked the zone. You haven't consistently thrown a sequence of good pitches, right? You have to throw a sequence of good pitches, then you miss a few. So you sprinkle a few misses along the way, right? A few balls, a few bad pitches along the way. But for Heel, I felt for most of the day was a few good pitches, quite a few bad pitches. So you're only sprinkling in those good pitches. It becomes much more difficult. You have to have good sequences of pitches. That's how you're going to be successful in the major league level. So a bit of a mixed bag, but his stuff is still really good. Okay, he is still, I would say, a very, very good pitcher at the major league level. Meza today, 15 pitches, 8 strikes, 1 inning, solid. Stroman, he's been moved to the bullpen, 3 innings, he picked up the save, 1 run, 5 hits. With Stroman, I've been saying this for the whole year, his sinker just isn't what it is. It isn't what it was a year or 2 years ago, and that's a problem because he really relies on that sinker. He's reduced his sinker usage quite a lot actually this year. He's using it less to righties, using it less to lefties. But that's his pitch. That's a very, very important pitch, especially the way it moves. He needs a bit more velocity on it, and he needs it to move in the right way. And we're seeing a lot of those sinkers this year quite flat. They're kind of running rather than sinking. Kind of a feature of Clay Holmes' sinkers as well. When he's not throwing the ball well, that's a feature of his throwing. But with Stroman, when he doesn't have that good sinker, he overutilizes the slider. He likes to go to a slider. He likes to go to the down and away location. The problem is you become very, very predictable, especially the right-handed hitters. You become very, very predictable. You have a very small target to hit because you're trying to hit the outside corner and then you're trying to expand off of that outside corner. But there's very little margin to hit because the marker that you've set is on the outside corner and you're trying to expand away from that. So it's a very, very small target. But if you're moved too far off the plate, you're not getting called strikes, you're behind in the count, guys are not going to be swinging. So it's very, very tricky without that good sinker for him. So I would like to see him. His splitter has been a bit of a revelation. That's worked very, very nicely against lefties. But I'd really like to see him improve on that sinker, hopefully add a mile or so to it, and get the right movement on that pitch, because right now it's just not that very effective, and he needs that pitch if he wants to have, to be able to be an effective starter at the major league level. That's my concern, and I can see that he's sort of laboring a little bit. Without that sinker, he's kind of struggling a little bit, and I can see that there's a bit of a disaster waiting to happen, to be honest. For the Mariners, there's Bryan Woo, 7 runs, 9 hits, 7 strikeouts, a couple of home runs surrendered. He's got good stuff. I think that's undeniable. He's got a good fastball. The sinker works quite well inside. The slider, I don't think it was the sharpest today, but it's a solid pitch, I think, generally speaking. And then the changeup is really good as well. The Yankees had a great game plan against him. They were looking soft, and then Woo kind of obliged with a lot of soft stuff that the Yankees were able to take advantage of in the first inning. So the Yankees had a great game plan against Woo, immediately put on the pressure. I thought the Yankees overall today, the offense, the rhythm of the offense was excellent. Excellent swing decisions often. They had the right approach, or they had an approach that worked, and they tried to put on the pressure, and they immediately did put on pressure against Woo and forced him, into the back foot. Even though he had 7 strikeouts, he's pitching from behind a lot of the evening. And 65 strikes out of 94. So he had a pretty high strike rate. It wasn't like he was missing all over the zone. But the Yankees did an excellent job of hitting him today. Had a great game plan. Very, very high quality at bats from the Yankees. They made it tough. They made it really tough. And, with that type of outing, that's really tough. I mean, I'll talk about some of the really good at bats. Soto, for example, Stayed on a changeup in the first at bat. That's been a pitch he's been struggling with over the last week, 2 weeks or so. Off-speed pitches away. He stayed on that beautifully, right? That's a nice little adjustment from Soto. Beautiful there. He's so good. He can cover so many pitches. He's just so good. Really good second at bat as well. To get the walk, laid off some very, very tough pitches, able to foul some off, right? But put good swings on pitches, able to pick up and recognize pitches, therefore putting the pressure back on the pitcher. The third at bat was again excellent. This was very, very good. Woo had sort of gone to a little bit of rhythm, liked to throw that front door sinker a lot to those lefties, right? And then Soto made the adjustment. He said, I'm not going to let you just lay a sinker in there. I'm not just going to let you lay one in there. I'm going to guess that this pitch starting inside is going to run back over the plate. And he takes a beautiful swing inside out, beautiful to left center field, incredible power. You don't see lefties going to left center field too often. Just a beautiful swing. He's got so many tools in his arsenal. He's got so many tools. Just a fantastic player. Excellent at bats from Soto the whole day. Judge I thought was pretty good as well. He stays on the slider away first pitch. Good second at bat as well. Impressive, very impressive. You saw over the past few games, Judge start to pick it up a little bit. Torres as well, 3 hits. You can see the approach as well. It's improving. He's improved his approach, and I think my theory is that being in the leadoff spot in front of Soto and Judge, it simplifies what you have to do. It simplifies your mind. And the approach is a little bit more simple. I've got to get on base here. I've got to look to use right field. I'm just going to try to maybe reduce a little bit of my power, but try to get to right field. Try to utilize right field. And I think that plays exactly into his strengths, because Torres doesn't hit the ball especially hard, but he uses right field of Yankee Stadium so well, and I think that's where he gets a lot of his power. He's gotten away from that a lot over the course of the season as he's been struggling. So being in the leadoff spot, I think, has really helped his approach. 3 hits today, just really good to see. I know he was beaten by a few pitches that he was able to dunk in, but he had a good approach that allowed him to stay on those pitches just enough to be able to get some decent contact on it. I look across the lineup today. Dominguez, very, very impressive. Changeup away, hits at the center field. That was an excellent at bat. It took him a few at bats to start to pick up Woo and to start to time up the pitches, but he had a really, really good at bat there, and hits a changeup out the center field. A beautiful swing right on plane. Just a beautiful swing to watch. So that's very impressive by Dominguez. Wells he struggled a little bit, but had a nice at bat to drive in 3 there. Stayed in on the baseball, timed it very nicely against the lefty. Good job there by Wells. Rizzo, he's struggling a little bit for sure, and I think that's somebody that I'd like to see start to hit. I think if Rizzo is able to be able to contribute in that bottom of the lineup, I think this lineup is going to get a lot better and a lot deeper. But right now he's definitely struggling a little bit, chasing a little bit too much. This was one of the issues during the season, is because he's able to cover a lot of pitches. Sometimes he's just a little bit too susceptible, or sometimes he just chases a little bit too much, right? Around the edges of the zone, where the pitcher is able to do the damage, where the pitcher is able to pick up outs and he gets value for his pitches, right? Well, versus where you want to bring the pitcher back to the heart of the plate, and sometimes Rizzo can just expand a little bit, not necessarily chase out of the zone, but swing at pitches before 2 strikes around the edges of the zone, where it's difficult to do a lot of damage on those pitches over a long period of time at least. But overall, a good day for the Yankees. Good rhythm, hitting with runners in scoring position. Excellent, just good at bats, good approach, good at bats against a very tough starting pitcher who's actually pitched really well twice against the Yankees. So excellent job by the Yankees today. Very, very high quality at bats. Very high quality. Other couple of I think a few other points, a couple of other points, just to finish off. First thing that you notice is how good Rizzo is at first base. I haven't looked at the defensive metrics for him at first base, but just today, the number of errors that he saved a few errors from Chisholm. The picking at first base is just so good. And he throws from first base very well as well. Very accurate throws when he needs to field the ball, throw the ball to second, for example. He makes very, very high quality throws. That's not the easiest throw to make, because if it's a bit of an odd angle, you kind of have to twist a little bit. It's a bit uncomfortable angle, but he's so good, and I think that's really underappreciated how good Rizzo is at first base. And especially when you have Chisholm at third, transitioning to a new position, definitely a little bit shaky. And you're seeing with some time now, as we progress, some of the holes start to develop. You see some of the problems, right? With more reps he gets there. But Rizzo able to help him at third base, right? Able to pick up some of the not so good throws, or some of the throws bounced into the dirt. So that's so important. I think the Yankees, can't take him for granted there at first base. You're really, really, really very solid. And those are outs. You don't pick that ball. That's an out that you've missed out on. So Rizzo, very impressive. But overall, a good game for the Yankees today. 11-2, good number of hits. Pitching, not clinical, but able to score early and keep the momentum. That's key as well. The Mariners had an opportunity to be able to put some pressure on the Yankees, but then the Yankees able to score first, able to keep pressure, so it made it more difficult for the Mariners to flip that momentum back. So that's always impressive. When the Yankees score first and they score early, they do pretty well, generally speaking. So positive signs for the Yankees. They'll play game 2 tomorrow. Hopefully the Orioles still don't play very well, and the Yankees can lock up the divisional spot in the next few games. That would be, coming into the Orioles series, take a lot of pressure off of the Yankees, and that's hopefully what we see in the next few days. But thank you for watching. If you've watched the video up to this point, please leave any thoughts, comments, opinions, suggestions you may have in the comments below. Always willing to hear any thoughts that people may have, and have a great rest of your day. Thank you.